Hello everyone, welcome back. So today's project is we're going to make an awl. And we're going to make it all in the style of, bushcraft, woodsman, something a trapper would have had in his kit. It would have been an essential tool, a long hunter. And basically they would use it to, repair their gear. They would use it to, make small traps. There was so many uses for this, and they traditionally would have it made by a blacksmith. Now, in lieu of doing it traditionally, we're going to fabricate it. Not everybody's got a forge in their backyard, and not everybody's got an anvil. So we're going to try to do this with the least amount of tools possible, and something that can be done, basically, in your garage or your small workshop. So it's not going to look like this traditional awl. Okay, it's not going to be round, and I'll explain why it's not going to be round later on. So we're going to start out with this 1/4 inch mild steel bar stock, and we're going to put a bevel on the edge to get it to a point. And we're just going to do that. We could do that with a hand file. We could do that with the grinder, whatever you happen to have. I'll probably do it on my grinder, and I'll do some finishing work with a file. So that's going to be the first step. And again, we're not going to make it round. We're going to leave it squared. So let me get set up over there, and we'll get started. All right, I think we're going to start off with the belt sander. We'll see how that goes. All right, that's working good. So now I'm going to continue to do that on all four sides, and bring it down to a taper. When I get a little closer, I'll bring you back. All right, so that's about, let's say about 5 minutes. Got a little bit more to go. I'll bring you back. All right, we're over at my bench, my dirty bench. Hopefully that shows up. Now we're going to do some hand filing. Now, this whole thing can be done by hand, but it only took me like 10 minutes on the grinder to get that point. So we'll do a little hand grinding, hand filing to clean it up a little bit. All right, so you get the idea. Let me finish that up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, pardon my dirty hands, but that was about 10 minutes of filing. Got a nice point here, and I thought I was filming this, but I didn't. So I just cut it off, and I rounded this end off. So this is the end we're going to put in a piece of wood. But before I do that, I'm going to clean this up a little bit, get some of the file marks out with just a piece of sandpaper. And sanding is very boring to do, and it's probably even more boring to watch. So I'll bring you back when this is cleaned up, and then we'll get a piece of wood and we'll put a handle on it. All right, so we got it sanded down. I just used some 120 paper. I didn't go crazy. I didn't take every single mark out. I don't know, it just adds a little character to it. It looks like you could see that it was hand filed. But it did come out very nice. Now, you can leave this, in the white. That's what we call it when there's no finish on the metal. And, eventually over time, if you keep it oiled, it'll get a little bit of a patina on it. But you also can make it black. If you take this with a propane torch, heat it up, and dip it in some motor oil, you're not going to be hardening it because this is mild steel, but you will get that bluish black color. But in lieu of all of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cold blue on it. So I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll pick out a piece of wood and we'll make a handle. All right, so now I have Birchwood Casey Super Blue, liquid bluing, and I have the Birchwood Casey degreaser. If you're going to do any bluing, you have to degrease it. It just, if there's any kind of grease on it or anything, the bluing will not come out evenly. So I'll just pour a little bit of this on. Get our blue. This is extra strength. And you'll see it start to change color. So I'm not worried about the tip here because that's actually going to get epoxied. So what you're actually doing is you're rusting it. It's like a pre-rusting. See that? So you get that look, that forged look. And you can see as you're doing it, you're actually taking off some of the rust. So you could, you know, you can keep doing this and get it as dark as you want. I think that looks good for our purposes. A little character there. Alright, so we'll let that dry. And we'll give it a little coat of oil, but not on this end, because that's the end we're going to epoxy in. And I was just looking through my little pieces of wood, and I found this piece of spalted oak. And I drilled a hole to test fit it, and it looks good. And I like that it's curved, so I'm going to try to keep that natural curve in it. And I'll start whittling this down and get it into a shape I want. I'll bring you back and show you some of that. Alright, so I'm going to work on this handle. I decided to do most of it on the belt grinder. So let's get at it. Alright, so I'll get at it a little bit more and I'll bring you back. Alright, so I got the primary shape that I like. This is going to be great. This is going to fit right in your hand. So now I'm going to use my Dremel tool with a sanding disc and clean it up a little bit more. Alright, I'm digging that. So I'll finish sanding this, and then I'm going to epoxy the awl into the end, and I'll let that dry overnight, and then I'll bring you back and I'll show you where we're at. Alright, so we got the handle, a little gloss polyurethane varnish on it. I love this spalted oak. We got it epoxied in. Now just a few notes on it. If this was made by a blacksmith, they would have tapered the other end. Like I just rounded it off because I was going to epoxy it in. And they probably would have used an antler, or they could have used a piece of wood, but they would have heated it up. And then they would have burnt it on by pressing it on. And they probably wouldn't have used any type of glue, because when you burn it on and press it in, and you're only pushing this, you're not pulling it like a knife, so the handle would stay on. But this piece of spalted oak, it sure reminds me of an antler. When I looked at this, I was like, wow. Well, an antler or a peanut, depending on how you look at it. But I think it came out great. And the reason why the handle is short is because you want to be able to put it in the palm of your hand and brace it there. So that's how you get your leverage, and you could twist it. Okay, now the reason why it's left square, and I'll show you that, is when you put it in a piece of wood and you start turning it, you're probably not going to see it because, let me put this here, the wood's the same color as the background, but it actually acts like a drill. If you see that, those little pieces of wood that came out, so you could get a deeper hole easier than if you had a regular punch or awl like this and you're just pressing it in. See, nothing comes out. Now these have their place, but again, for bushcrafting, this is awesome. Now I have a piece of, this is suede. Goes right through it. I have some, I think this is 6/7 or 7/8 leather, pretty thick. Right through. Now you're definitely going to want some kind of protection on this because it's sharp. I mean, this could literally be used as a weapon. Um, so in a future video, we'll make some type of sheath, probably out of leather. Just a very basic sheath to protect the end and to protect yourself. Because if you had this in your pack and you fell the wrong way, yeah, that wouldn't end up well. So very, very easy to make. Doesn't take much time. I would say probably total with the sanding of the spalted oak and the polyurethane and all of that stuff, I would say definitely less than an hour. So it's a fun little project, and like I said, I'll make a sheath for it in another video. But hopefully you enjoyed that, and if you have the means, you know, again, you can make the whole thing by hand. You know, a file, you could burn it into the wood, or you could drill a hole into the wood. You know, so basically a file and a drill, and you could do this whole project. So again, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'd like to see you make one if you could. And like always, everyone, I really appreciate your views and your comments, and I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.